The kitchen sink was dripping again, that steady plink, plink, plink that had been driving me crazy for weeks. I was under the cabinet, wrench in hand, when I heard Kara's voice from the hallway. She was on the phone, giggling like a teenager. "Yeah, I'll wear the red lace set tonight," she whispered, thinking I was still at work. "Not for him, don't worry. He's completely clueless about everything." I froze, wrench halfway to the pipe. My wife of 12 years was talking about lingerie for someone else. The water kept dripping, each drop landing on my forehead like a countdown timer to the end of my marriage. My name's Jack Morrison, and I used to think I had it all figured out. Construction foreman by day, amateur boxer in my younger years, married to the most beautiful realtor in our crumbling New England town. Kara had always been ambitious, sharp-tongued, and lately emotionally distant. But I figured that was just marriage after a decade. Comfortable silence, separate interests, the usual drift. I was wrong, dead wrong. After she hung up, I crawled out from under the sink and found her in the bedroom, packing an overnight bag. Her movements were quick, excited, like she was preparing for something special. "Going somewhere?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe. She didn't even look up. "Weekend with the girls." You know how it is. Wine, gossip, the usual drama. "Which girls?" I pressed, watching her carefully fold that red lace lingerie I'd never seen before. "Just some friends from work." "You don't know them." Her tone was clipped, dismissive. The same tone she'd been using with me for months. I nodded slowly, playing the clueless husband she thought I was. "Have fun, sweetheart." "I'll probably just hang out at Jules's gym, maybe catch a game." She finally looked at me then, and for a split second, I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt, relief, hard to tell. "Don't wait up," she said, zipping the bag closed. After she left, I stood in our bedroom, staring at the space where she'd been packing. That's when I noticed her phone on the nightstand. She'd grabbed her purse but forgotten the device that had become surgically attached to her hand over the past few months. The screen lit up with a text message. "Can't wait to see you in that red set." "My place at 8. DD, not one of the girls, not a wine night." My hands started shaking, and for the first time since my boxing days, I felt that familiar surge of adrenaline mixed with rage. I grabbed my jacket and headed for Jules's bar. If Kara wanted to play games, she'd picked the wrong opponent. Jules Brennan owned the grittiest boxing gym and dive bar combination in our neighborhood. He'd been my trainer back when I thought I could make something of myself with my fists, and now he was the closest thing I had to a best friend. The man had seen more dirty fights and broken dreams than a prison warden. "You look like someone stole your lunch money," Jules said when I walked into his bar. The place smelled like stale beer and old leather, with neon signs flickering their last gasps of life. Worse. Someone stole my wife. Jules poured me a whiskey without asking. "Kara?" "Some guy named D found his love letter on her phone." I downed the drink in one gulp. She thinks I'm an idiot. "Are you?" "Not anymore." Jules studied my face with those sharp eyes that had seen too many fights. "What are you thinking, Jack?" "I'm thinking it's time to stop being the nice guy." Over the next hour, I told Jules everything: the phone call, the lingerie, the mysterious weekend plans. He listened without judgment, occasionally refilling my glass. "So what's the plan?" he asked finally. "I need to know who D is, then I need to know exactly how far this has gone." "And then?" I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "Then I remind my wife why she married a boxer." The next morning, I did something I'd never done in 12 years of marriage. I went through Kara's things. Not proud of it, but desperate times called for desperate measures. In her jewelry box, hidden under some old earrings, I found a business card. Damien Cross, technology consultant. Damien. Of course. The kind of guy who drove a Porsche and wore suits that cost more than my monthly salary. I'd seen him around town, usually at the upscale restaurants Kara had been frequenting lately for client meetings. I spent the weekend doing research. Social media made it easy. Too easy. Damian Cross lived in the luxury high-rise downtown, drove a silver Porsche 911, and based on his Instagram posts, had a thing for married women. His feed was full of cryptic messages about taking what you want, and winners don't wait for permission. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and positioned myself across from Damian's building. Sure enough, at 9:47 a.m., Kara's Honda pulled into the parking garage. She stayed for 3 hours. That evening, she came home humming. "Good day at work?" I asked. "Busy. Lots of client meetings." She kissed my cheek, a quick, guilty peck that felt like a slap. "I was thinking we should do something special this weekend. Just the two of us." Her face fell slightly. "Oh, I can't. I have that work conference in Boston, remember?" I didn't remember because she'd never mentioned it, but I nodded like the understanding husband. Of course. Work comes first. That night, after she fell asleep, I checked her laptop. No conference in Boston. But there was a hotel reservation for 2 at the Mountain View Resort, about an hour outside town. The reservation was under Damian Cross's name. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. 12 years of marriage, and she was throwing it away for a guy with a Porsche and a fake smile. The worst part? She thought I was too stupid to figure it out. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. I spent Tuesday planning. If Kara wanted to play the cheating game, I'd show her how it was really done. But I wasn't going to be the crying, begging husband. I was going to be something much worse. I was going to be smart. First stop, Mountain View Resort. A quick call to the front desk, pretending to be Damian's assistant, confirmed the reservation for Friday and Saturday night. Honeymoon suite. The irony was perfect. Second stop, Jules's gym. I needed to get back in fighting shape, not for violence, but for confidence. Nothing changes a man's posture like knowing he can handle himself. "You're really going through with this?" Jules asked as I worked the heavy bag. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences. "What about your friends?" "Tom and Jennifer have been asking about you two." That stopped me cold. Tom and Jennifer Martinez, our closest couple friends. We'd been having dinner together every month for 5 years. If this thing with Damian went public, I'd lose more than just my wife. I'd lose my entire social circle. "They don't know yet," I said. "They will." Small town, big mouths. He was right. By Friday, half the neighborhood would be whispering about Kara's business trip with the Porsche guy. I'd be the pitied husband, the fool who never saw it coming. Unless I changed the narrative. Wednesday evening, I made my move. Kara was in the shower, getting ready for another client dinner. I took her phone and did something I'd learned from watching too many crime shows. I forwarded all her text messages to my email. Every dirty message, every plan, every lie. The evidence was damning. Weeks of messages between Kara and Damian, talking about me like I was some obstacle to be managed. The worst one was from 3 days ago. "Kara, he's getting suspicious. Keeps asking questions." "Damian, don't worry. Guys like him never actually do anything. He'll just sulk and drink beer. Guys like him, blue-collar, predictable, harmless." I screenshot everything and sent it to a secure email account. Then I did something that would have made my old boxing coach proud. I started planning my comeback fight. Thursday night, Kara packed for her conference. I watched her choose outfits like she was preparing for a photo shoot. The red lingerie made another appearance. "You seem excited about this conference," I said. "It's important for my career. Lots of networking opportunities. I'm sure you'll make quite an impression." She looked at me sharply, but I kept my expression neutral. Let her wonder. Friday morning, she kissed me goodbye. "I'll call you tonight. Don't worry about it. I know you'll be busy." After she left, I sat in our kitchen, drinking coffee and staring at the wedding photo on the refrigerator. We looked so young, so happy, so convinced we'd figured out something that defeated half the marriages in America. I pulled out my phone and called Tom Martinez. "Jack, how's it going, man?" "Not great, Tom. I need to talk to you and Jennifer about something. Can you guys come over tonight?" "Of course. Everything okay?" "No," I said. "But it will be." Tom and Jennifer arrived at 7:30 with a bottle of wine and concerned expressions. We'd been friends since college, the kind of couples who vacationed together and knew each other's secrets. At least I thought we did. "Where's Kara?" Jennifer asked, looking around the empty house. "Business conference in Boston," I said, pouring wine. Or at least that's what she told me. Tom and Jennifer exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. "What?" I demanded. Jennifer bit her lip. "Jack, we saw Kara at Rossini's last week. She was with some guy in a suit. They looked close." "Really close," Tom added. "We almost went over to say hi, but they seemed to be in the middle of something intense." I nodded slowly. Damian Cross, technology consultant, drives a silver Porsche. "You know about him?" Jennifer asked. "I know about everything." I pulled out my phone and showed them some of the text messages. Not the explicit ones. I had some dignity left, but enough to make the situation clear. Tom whistled low. "Jesus, Jack. How long has this been going on?" "At least 2 months, maybe longer." I took a large gulp of wine. Right now, they're at the Mountain View Resort, honeymoon suite. Jennifer reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I'm so sorry." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to fight back." "Meaning what, exactly?" Tom's voice carried a warning. He knew about my boxing background. Nothing illegal, nothing violent. But I'm not going to be the pathetic husband who just takes it. I leaned back in my chair. She thinks I'm stupid. Predictable. She's about to find out how wrong she is. We talked for another hour. Tom and Jennifer were supportive but cautious, warning me not to do anything that would hurt my case in a divorce. They promised to be there for me, whatever happened. After they left, I sat alone in my house, surrounded by 12 years of shared memories, photos from our wedding, vacation souvenirs, the couch we'd picked out together when we were young and broke and thought love was enough. My phone rang. Kara. "Hi, honey. Just wanted to check in." "How's the conference?" "Boring. Lots of presentations about market trends. In the background, I could hear music and laughter." "I should go." "Early morning tomorrow." "Have fun, sweetheart." "Love you," she said, the words automatic and empty. "Love you too." After she hung up, I poured another glass of wine and opened my laptop. Time to do some research on Mr. Damian Cross. If he wanted to play in my marriage, he was going to learn the rules of the game. What I found made everything clear. Damian Cross wasn't just a technology consultant. He was a serial cheater with a pattern of targeting married women. His LinkedIn profile showed a string of jobs that never lasted more than 2 years, and a deeper dive into social media revealed at least 3 other affairs I could identify. Kara wasn't special. She was just another conquest. That realization hurt worse than the betrayal itself. She'd thrown away our marriage for a guy who collected wives like trophies. She'd traded 12 years of real love for a few months of excitement with a man who would discard her the moment someone new caught his eye. I closed the laptop and made my decision. If Kara wanted excitement, I'd give her more than she bargained for. Saturday morning, I drove to the Mountain View Resort. Not to confront them. That would be too easy, too expected. Instead, I parked where I could see the parking lot and waited. At 11:30 a.m., Damian's Porsche pulled out, heading toward town, probably going to get lunch or pick up something he'd forgotten. I had maybe an hour. The resort had valet parking, which made things simple. I walked up to the desk like I belonged there. "Excuse me, my wife and I are in the honeymoon suite, and I think I left my phone charger in my car. Could someone help me get it?" The desk clerk handed over the valet key without question. Rich guys in Porsches were probably always forgetting something. I found Damien's car in the lot and popped the trunk. Inside was a gym bag, some business files, and a bottle of expensive champagne. I didn't touch anything, just took photos with my phone. Evidence for later. Then I did something that would have made Jules proud. I loosened the valve caps on all 4 tires, not enough to cause a blowout, just enough to ensure a slow leak that would leave him stranded in a few hours. Nothing dangerous, nothing illegal, just inconvenient. I returned the keys and drove home, arriving just as my phone rang. Kara again. Hey, honey? Conference is running late. I might not be home until tomorrow evening. No problem. Take your time. You're being awfully understanding about this. I trust you completely, I said, and meant it. I trusted her to be exactly who she'd shown herself to be. Sunday evening, Kara came home flustered and tired. Her perfect weekend had apparently ended with car trouble and a 3-hour wait for a tow truck. How was the conference? I asked. Educational, she said, not meeting my eyes. Learn anything interesting? Just the usual stuff about market dynamics and client relations. I nodded sympathetically. Well, I'm sure all that networking will pay off eventually. She looked at me strangely, like she was trying to figure out if there was a hidden meaning in my words. There was, but she wasn't smart enough to catch it. Over the next week, I watched Kara carefully. She was jumpy, distracted, constantly checking her phone. The guilt was eating at her, but not enough to make her confess. Instead, she doubled down, making up more elaborate lies about work events and client meetings. Meanwhile, I was building my case. Every lie, every deception, every moment she chose Damien over our marriage. I documented it all with the patience of a man who'd finally found his purpose. Thursday night, she announced another business trip. Where to this time? New York, big client presentation. Sounds important. I hope it goes well. Thanks for being so supportive, Jack. I know I've been distracted lately. Just focus on what makes you happy, I said. That's all I want. She smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in months. She thought she was getting away with it. She thought she'd married a fool who would never figure out her game. She was about to learn the truth. Friday morning, after she left for her New York trip, I made a call to her office. Hi, this is Jack Morrison, Kara's husband. She left some important documents at home for her presentation today. Could you tell me which hotel she's staying at so I can overnight them? I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison, but Kara took today off. She said she had a family emergency. Oh, right, the family emergency. Thanks. No New York, no presentation, just another weekend with Damien. I hung up and smiled. Game time. I spent Friday putting the final pieces in place. Phone calls to divorce lawyers, meetings with accountants, conversations with Tom and Jennifer about what they'd witnessed. By evening, I had everything I needed. Saturday morning, I drove to Damien's building. The doorman knew me by now. I'd been delivering forgotten items to Mr. Cross all week, playing the helpful friend while gathering intelligence. Another delivery? The doorman asked. Last one, I promised. I took the elevator to the 15th floor and knocked on Damien's door. He answered in a silk bathrobe, looking annoyed. Can I help you? I'm Jack Morrison, Kara's husband. His face went white, but he tried to bluff. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. Red lingerie, Mountain View Resort, slow leaks in Porsche tires. I smiled pleasantly. Can I come in? We need to talk. He stepped aside, probably calculating whether he could take me in a fight. He couldn't, and somewhere in his reptile brain, he knew it. Kara was on the couch, wearing one of his shirts and looking like she'd seen a ghost. Hello, sweetheart, I said. How's the family emergency? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I sat down across from them, casual as a man discussing the weather. So, here's how this is going to work. Kara, you're going to pack your things and come home with me. We're going to sit down with a marriage counselor and figure out if there's anything left to save. Damien, you're going to disappear from our lives completely. Damien found his voice. You can't just... Actually, I can. I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos I'd taken of his car, his building, his pattern of affairs. I've got enough evidence to destroy your reputation and your business. One phone call to your clients, one post on social media, and you're done in this town. You're threatening me? I'm educating you. See, guys like you think guys like me are stupid, predictable, harmless. I stood up, and suddenly the room felt smaller. But here's what you missed. I'm not just some blue-collar idiot. I'm a blue-collar idiot who's been underestimated his whole life. I know how to fight, how to plan, and how to win. Kara finally spoke. Jack, I can explain. No need. I know exactly what this is. You got bored with real life and decided to play house with Ken doll here. The question is, what happens next? She looked between Damien and me, and I could see her calculating. The smart play was obvious. Come home, try to salvage the marriage, hope I was fool enough to forgive and forget. But Kara had never been as smart as she thought. I love him, she said. I nodded slowly. Okay then. I pulled out a manila envelope and set it on the coffee table. Divorce papers. I'm keeping the house, the savings account, and my dignity. You can keep your technology consultant and whatever's left of your reputation after this gets out. You can't just... Damien started. Watch me. I stood up and headed for the door. Oh, and Damien? That pattern of targeting married women? I've been in touch with some of your other victims. They're very interested in sharing their stories. I paused at the door and looked back at Kara. She was crying now, probably realizing that her exciting new life came with some very real consequences. 12 years, I said. I gave you 12 years of everything I had. You threw it away for a few months with a guy who collects wives like baseball cards. I hope it was worth it. I walked out and took the elevator down to the lobby. The doorman nodded as I passed. Have a good day, Mr. Morrison. I intend to, I said. Outside, I called Tom and Jennifer and told them to meet me at Jules's bar. Then I called Jules and asked him to put some champagne on ice. Celebrating something? He asked. My freedom. That night, surrounded by my real friends, I raised a glass to the end of my marriage and the beginning of whatever came next. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was honest. It was real. And it was mine. Kara tried calling a dozen times. I didn't answer. She'd made her choice, and now she had to live with it. As for me, I had a future to build, one where I'd never again be underestimated by anyone. 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that Damien had moved to another city after his business collapsed. Kara was working at a different real estate office, struggling to rebuild her reputation. They'd lasted exactly 3 weeks after I walked out of that apartment. I wasn't surprised. Guys like Damien don't stick around when things get complicated, and Kara had never learned the difference between excitement and love. Me? I was doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. Turns out, when you stop letting people underestimate you, life gets a lot more interesting. Sting, 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 sting.